All right, folks, we are here with Series 5 of our YouTube series. And believe it or not, Series 5 marks the 1-year anniversary of our series that we started last summer. So this is super exciting. And it's even more exciting because I'm not going to be the one talking in all of our series episodes. So today we are going to have a chat with Kyle Richardson, who is going to be bringing you our entire Series 5 on mindfulness. And we're going to talk a bit about why he even cares about any of this. Like, why is it important? So if you like what we say today, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. The details will be at the end. And watch out for the next 5 episodes, and we might even have a bonus episode. So, Kyle, thank you so much for saving me from having to do the 5th series on my own and letting me take some time off this summer. So thank you. As many of you already know, Kyle also does blogging for us as a guest blogger. So this is a new avenue we're taking in him doing this series of audio videos. Who knows? Maybe he'll just keep doing them and I'll do the blogs. But in the meantime, let's talk to Kyle about why this whole mindfulness thing is important and what it even means to him. So Kyle, thank you for joining us.
No problems. It's going to be fun for me.
So I think the biggest question that most of our listeners will have is, why did you start exploring this whole idea of mindfulness?
Okay. Wow. I guess that whole journey probably started over 20, might be as long as 30 years ago. And yeah, why did it start? I think I've long been aware that there's many things wrong with me. You know, I think I'm somewhere on the autistic spectrum, and my mind is often not quiet, and I think that many times in my life that's held me back. And I think I started out looking for ways to free myself of some of the burdens of being me. I think that's maybe the best way to look at it. And over the years, I've learned that I can augment that to help myself out in many other ways. But yeah, to answer your first question, that's where I started from.
Well, and I think that kind of delves into the next part, which is, why is this so important to you even now? You know, why keep doing this? What has this done for you?
Yeah, I don't think I could function without it. So, and this probably it probably fits into the true goal, if you like, behind mindfulness, or at least how I would express it to people, which is this concept that there is a space that exists between the events that happen in the world around you and the way you choose to perceive them and react to them. And that space is most indicative in something like, if you imagine being angry, you think of yourself as angry. The fact that you're able to think of yourself as angry means you're not actually angry. A part of you is absorbed by anger. A part of you is still consciously able to recognize that part of you exists. And therefore, there is a part of you that's able to operate independent of whatever your perception and reaction to events is. Mindfulness is about learning to recognize that space and growing it so you can do things with it. And that's why it's so important to me now, even more than ever, because growing that space gives you time in which to operate and gives you the ability to operate effectively. And the noisier your mind is, and the more chaotic and busy your day is, the more you need it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I can totally relate to what you're saying about your mind being busy, because that's one of the things that I've had to struggle with as well, is finding that balance and quieting everything. You know, as I say, I need to quiet the demons. And that doesn't mean they're necessarily all bad things, but they can't all be happening at the same time. And there has to be a balance and a space to focus on the things that are important and not let the noise take over. And I think, I don't want to make every episode and every post that we talk about being about the pandemic, but I think if we look at how people reacted to the events that have happened in the last year and a half, I think we have a large number of people that would benefit from the lessons that you have to teach us about mindfulness and finding that quiet within yourself to respond and react at an appropriate level.
Yeah, appropriately. Yeah.
Yeah, and not at a heightened elevation. And I think the same can be true for people from the US who just went through 4 years of the last administration and presidency, and finding a way to fit that narrative in with how you react and how you respond, because there are people, and I found myself sometimes in that same boat, that for 4 years were wound as tight as they possibly could have been wound, because they were constantly being fueled and fed by what was happening on Twitter, for example. And so I think the lessons, as I've been putting together what you've already sent me for our upcoming episodes, which is super exciting, the lessons that people can take from what you're saying to them and the exercises that you're doing, I think are going to be pretty valuable. But I would like you to share with our audience, what can they expect from these upcoming sessions?
Okay, so we'll start by laying out a little bit of the science and what isn't really the science behind meditation and mindfulness. Some simple stuff like, actually, how do you define those things? What is meditation? What is mindfulness? And where does it come from? And why should we attach any kind of credence to the possible benefits? So there's a ton of work being done on this. There's a ton of studies, and some of it is really, really interesting. So we'll start there, and then in terms of what else they should get out of it, the rest of the series is going to be about putting some of this into practice in a few different ways. There's a lot of different, I guess, techniques, approaches, styles to meditation, but putting some of those into practice so that people can experience them. I think so that you think of it as like a really quick whistle stop tour of, this is what meditation could be for you in various different guises. So maybe at the end of it, they'll be able to look back and see how those different things affected them in different ways. There's one in particular in the series. I won't talk about which episode or what it is, but it was something I went through with some of my global team, and I had people come back to me and said they were in tears. It affected them very deeply emotionally. So if that's not a teaser, what is, right? That should get someone interested in listening.
Well, I think also you hit on a point that I hadn't brought up, is that you're actually doing these techniques and talking to your global teams about mindfulness and weaving that into the culture of how you all are working. And I think that is critically important, because I know we're going to have some listeners going, oh, meditation, yes. Oh, I go to yoga class. Oh, yes, I've seen that tape. And they're not going to think about how what you're going to be showing us in these upcoming series is applied to actually the work world. This is not about your Saturday morning down to the park yoga class. And yes, that's important and valuable for people to use that as a de-stressor and a mindfulness space, a mindful space. But that what you're doing is incorporating this into the workplace. And for those of you that don't know, Kyle works in a technical space. So, he's not working at a health center, a wellness center. He works in a technical space with highly technical people. And I think that this is a really valuable point for people to realize there's a place for this in our work world. In fact, a very important place for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there's tons of stuff in some of those guest blog posts that you host about, how this helps us in the world of work. it makes me think I should share something. You have the recording, but what you don't have on one of those episodes is the piece about me talking beforehand, and it was actually the one from earlier this week. And what I shared with the team at work before I recorded that was that I went through that particular meditation with them because it's the one that I do. I can use the word religiously because it happens every day, pretty much at the same time, like 5:30 every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did a shortened version for them of that. And I did that because Monday I had my second vaccination. And Monday evening, like I was in a meeting Monday evening, and I started getting the shakes and chills and temperature and what have you. Woke up Tuesday morning. My alarm still went off at 5:30. I felt awful. I felt kicked, but what I've learned over the years is when you feel at your absolute worst, that's when meditation saves you the most. Mm-hmm. And what I did that day, because I did my meditation, that definitely helped. But I still felt so drained, so low on energy, like I had nothing, and I had 10 hours ahead of me. What I did for the rest of that day was I filled that day with very short meditation breaks, 2 to 3 minute breaks that were retouching with what I'd started with at the beginning of the day. By 9 o'clock that night, which I shouldn't have even been conscious. The way I felt in the morning, I shouldn't have even been conscious at 9 p.m. that night. At 9 p.m. that night, I was bouncing around my virtual meeting spaces, really annoying the crap out of everybody who doesn't think it's right that I have that much energy at that time of night. But that's, for me, that's part of the power of meditation that makes it so worth bringing into the world of work.
Yeah, and I think too, even if you decide after people listen to all of this that meditation really isn't for them, it's still important that no matter what your method is, that everybody find a way to be centered, and that they have a way to come back to that. For example, you felt awful all day and you kept coming back to your meditation in mini sessions to keep you going. We have to recognize when we're off center and how we get back to that and how we, balance ourselves out, no matter what techniques or methods we use. And I think that's important. So we are about out of time, and I wanted to let our audience know that all of these things we've talked about today and what's coming up in this series, and as Kyle mentioned, all the things in the blogs that he's written, I've written, we have very different, approaches to what we blog about, but all of it is rolled up into our group coaching program, The Art of Mindful Leadership. And we're hoping this fall to get slightly back to normal, if we want to use that phrase. I'm really not liking that phrase, Kyle. We'll talk about that in a different episode, I think. But back to being able to be together, and hopefully we'll be able to do a retreat for the Art of Mindful Leadership as well. So for everybody out there, watch this space. At the end of this video, it'll have the YouTube channel details, the website details, everything you need to connect if you want to go read the blogs that Kyle mentioned. And we will be doing these episodes, even though they're pre-recorded, so you can do the meditation exercises while you're listening. We will still do them on a weekly schedule, just like we do with our lives. So Kyle, thank you very much. I'm super excited to hear what people have to say about our upcoming sessions. And for everybody out there, we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.